Hello, family, and welcome to another episode of Role Model Makers Experts Cafe. I'm your host, Dr. L, the Parent Whisperer, and today with me, I have an amazing soul, Miss Susan Cristini. Did I say that correctly, Susan? I just
Yes,
want
you
to make
did.
sure.
Yes.
Awesome. Now, Susan has been part of our community of experts. We are very blessed to have such a large community that addresses so many different facets of family life. And I'm so glad that Susan was able to go ahead and take time out of her busy schedule to be here. So, welcome, Susan, and welcome, audience members. Thank you guys for being here and tuning in. Susan, can you tell us a little bit more about what we are about to discuss and how you got started doing it?
Well, how I got started doing it is a lot easier to answer, I suppose. Um, I became a mom when I was almost 30. I was a professional woman, never thought I would ever want to stay home. Changed my mind when my son was born. Loved 2.5 years being home. And then my former husband asked for a divorce, and I had to go back to work. So I help professional first time moms deal with whether or not they wanted to stay home with their kid and couldn't, or whether they couldn't wait to get back to work because both of them can cause guilt. And along with that, burnout. Like, how do you get everything done at home when you're working full time and give your child attention? How do you put it all together? So that's why I do what I do for professional first time moms.
Susan, that's a really tough job that you have decided to work on because on all sides of it, if it's at home, it has its own set of challenges. And if they're at work, it has its own set of challenges. And first time moms, that's even more difficult because there's the lack of the experience to add to the pile, basically. So more power to you. And thank you for doing everything that you do. All right. So this, of course, I don't think we need to emphasize or talk about why it's important or what are some of the challenges. There's obstacles all along the way. But what would you say are like you gave an example, like separation being one. But what are some of the cases where you realize, hey, you know what? This is something that needs a professional to address this, basically. This is not something that I want to do on my own. Like, what are some of the feelings that these moms are going through? Let's go start from there.
Well, I think one of the main things when I talk about burnout, one of the main things is how do I come home and do my daily tasks? How do that and still find time for my child? What do I do? What can I? And I think when you're a first time mom, that's overwhelming. There is, you get short tempered, you can take it out on your child, not meaning to. How do you handle all of that? And I love using play and fun. And when you're stressed like that, you are not a lot of, believe me, not a lot of fun. But using play and fun in doing things raises your energy, makes you feel better, gets you going, has your child feel heard and loved and seen, and you still get your stuff done. Imagine that. However, there's a caveat. Do not expect perfection. Give it up. Your home is not going to be perfect, but that's okay. Just go with it.
Well, I was going to ask you something, but you already answered it. The question that I had was, what are some of the challenges that moms have to overcome? So perfectionism is definitely one of them and is on that list. What are some of the other challenges, mindsets, things that moms have to overcome to start moving in the right direction once they've made the choice that this is what they have to do?
Being confident in their parenting. Stop comparing yourself to other parents. Stop. You're going to do the best you can do. That I think is huge. Um, just be with it, be comfortable, be loving with your child. Just love your child. As far as I'm concerned, you can't go wrong parenting with love. That's number one. Just love that kid.
Susan, while you were mentioning that, this might be a generalization, but please correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of times, if moms are under stress, one of the things that I tend to see is they close down. They stop asking for help. They're like, I'm going to do this myself. I can handle it. And they take on the world on their shoulders. So what is some of the tips and suggestions that you have for moms so that they can kind of put some of these bags and weights of brick down, basically?
So I was one of those moms, by the way. I didn't have help. And I'm all the more wiser, I think, and more able to help people because I've been there and done that. One of the things, and I say this, be present. When you're at work, be at work. And that may sound easier said than done, but if you have chosen childcare so that you absolutely trust them, then you can let that go. You know, if there's an emergency, they'll call you. Otherwise, you're at work. When you're at home, be at home. Turn off your phone. Don't check your email. Work can wait until tomorrow. Be with your child. Give them the attention. I have to say one thing. Nothing drove me. I actually lost a nanny job. I used to work as a nanny. I lost a job because in the interview, it was a phone interview, I said to the woman, you know, one thing that drives me crazier than just about anything is when I see a woman with her child in the car and she's on her phone. And the message that child is getting is that they're not as important as the person on the other end of the phone. She never called me back. I didn't get the job. And I don't care because I hope she got the point.
Good point. Very good point. Very cool. All right. So given that, like, those were really amazing tips, being present, that, like, especially when you're wearing so many different hats. What are some ways that moms could actually ask for help? What are some of the resources that you would suggest for them to look into?
Contact me. Number one. Um,
Well, so let's not move on from that. Let's talk about this. How can people connect with you?
they can contact me by email. My email is SUPR. It's not a misspelling. It's super without the E. SUPR_coach. Oh, sorry. SUPR.coach@gmail.com. Also on LinkedIn, and that's LinkedIn/in/Susan Cristini 37992714. Don't ask me what that number means, no clue. Or you can reach me on Facebook, and you can definitely DM me if we can become friends on Facebook, and that's also Facebook/Susan.Cristini.7, and that is how I can be reached.
Awesome. So, guys, I want to make sure that you go ahead and check out the description box below because I've put all of that information in for you to check out and click on. And aside from that, Susan, what are some of the other places? Like, would you recommend reaching out, like bringing your kids to work? Would you recommend like reaching out to family? Like, what are some of the best places to look for help within your inner circle?
Well, I think joining, if you can find local family groups, parent groups, that's always helpful. A good friend who's going through the same thing. My Lord, that is invaluable. And if you're close, if you're close with your mom, ask your mom. And I know for some people that's difficult. I know it was a little for me. My mom thought I was a terrible mom because when my son was old enough to take his toys out, he had to put them away. And he couldn't take out anything else until he put them away. She thought that was terrible because he was only 2.5 until he stayed with her. When he was about 4 or 5, he stayed with her for a weekend, and she called me up and said, "You were absolutely right." I have to tell you, that was a huge moment. That was the only time I can remember my mother telling me I did something right. So, but moms, grandmothers, aunts, someone in your family you trust, anyone you trust, reach out to them. Don't suffer alone, because I'm going to tell you now, if you're suffering, your kid is going to feel it. They feel everything that you're feeling. And you don't want to do that to your kid. You want them to live with joy. And I'm sure you want to live with joy too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Susan, I know time is always against us, but I want to take a minute and talk to the audience members and let them know that it is okay to ask for help. And it is also important for us to role model the behavior that we don't always have the answer, and it is okay to reach out. The world is not a scary place, that there are good people like Susan wanting to make the world a better place, and we all need to come together and connect as a community. So, Susan, before we finish, any final words of wisdom for our audience members today?
You deserve to live in joy. You deserve to parent your child the way you believe is the best for you and for them. Just go with your gut, go with your love. You cannot go wrong.
Beautifully said. Very good. Guys, make sure you click like and subscribe to our channel. We have amazing guests like Susan that come here, share their expertise, and share their gifts with you. Please stay connected, get notified, and realize we are a community and we can support each other this way. Thank you, Susan. Until next time. Cheers.